Alright, so even though this has 3 million views, it's a year old, I still want to share it. Go like, comment, subscribe. Alright, so let's check this video out. False advertising by Scott the Woz. The first Scott the Woz video I ever watched.
Hey y'all, Scott
Hi.
here. Please, for the love of God, don't mind me. I'm just doing some touch-ups to my high school yearbook photo. You think
Why? I'm intrigued.
they let me do retakes 9 years later? There's gotta be a grace period. I've been having trouble going to sleep thinking about what people thought of me back then, so hopefully this will change their minds. Okay, and we're done!
Huh. Is that all you have to do? Huh. I should go do that. Just kind of, redraw myself for whatever yearbook picture. I mean, I never even got a yearbook, I don't think. I really didn't care. I was bad in school.
I actually toned it down. I didn't want to get too laid. Telling the
Oh,
truth.
God.
What are you, a bitch? Well, be honest about how
Sick burn.
your
Sick
video
burn.
game looks when you can just lie and deal with it when it's already bought. False
Fair.
advertising is how many companies roll. We've all seen those fast food comparison shots. This is what's advertised, and this is what I got.
Yeah.
What the hell? Most of the time for
That's
marketing,
a
you'll use something
pineapple.
that represents the final product, but you do some color correction, adjust the lighting, tweak a few angles here and there, boom, good enough for air. And when
Close
it
enough.
comes to video games, they are no stranger to catfishing. Why show actual gameplay in your ad when you can show something that's neither a game nor being played? It's way easier to disappoint players than to entice them with the truth. No matter what,
This is
false
true.
advertising is always gonna stick with gaming. It's been there since the very start, and it'll be there till the very end in 4 months. Advertisers know they could just show you what the actual game is gonna be like, or they could visualize what it'll feel like. Garbage. Sometimes
Oh, God.
advertisements don't necessarily lie, but with the way they're set up, you come.
So I'm just trying to think of any, examples. I didn't really find a good spot to, pause there, but they've been doing this for ever. It's always been advertising thing. It's not even just in gaming. It's life. Like how they make, literally the food advertisements. It's not even food. It's just, whatever they have thrown together and glue and everything to make it stick.
With
It's
certain
crazy.
expectations. With the Mario Galaxy,
Any mobile. Oh my God. The ads for the mobile games, man, where it's like, oh, click here, or how do you escape this spot? And it's just them being the stupidest thing ever. And it's nowhere near what the game is. Not even close. I
commercials
hate
with
it
box
so
art,
much.
I thought you could fly through space just like this to each of the galaxies. Instead, they just play a cutscene of Mario flying, and when
Yeah.
you fly in game, it would mostly just be an automated thing going from one place to another. You did get a power-up late in the game, the red star, and that let you freely fly for a decent amount of time, but it was only in
That's
one
kinda
level
cool.
and the hub world. I wanted to cream through space to all these levels like how this looked. And Super Mario
Fair.
Galaxy just ended up being my favorite game of all time.
I never
take
played
the
that
single
one.
tier. This is kind of the mentality of a lot
Jeez.
of old school box art. Box
It's
art
true.
in general is supposed to be an artistic representation of the game you're buying. Of course, it shouldn't lie, but if you're waiting for an exact moment in the game to look just like the box art,
It's not
that's
gonna
a
happen.
toughie. I don't think this
Not
ever
gonna happen at
happened
all.
in Title Legends. Obviously, these take and hyperbolize the best and most defining moments of the game to make for a great and appealing piece of art that also isn't misleading, which is a difficult
So the Gears 5 one, I don't know how that one's misleading though. It's just the characters.
thing to balance.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that.
Atari thought we were idiots. Oh, yeah, this isn't misleading because under the right mindset, the game will make you feel like this.
Okay.
So eating soap. You thought we were past this level of deception? Oh, no. See, many have noticed how box art has become more in line with what we expect out of our games these days, but the angst behind the Atari box art lives on in the form of trailers. We could show the product and get people excited, or we could not show the product and get people excited and pissed eventually. Hey,
Facts.
sometimes you just have to show something, and if that something
And then you just get excited. It's great.
isn't enough, America's biggest fear becomes a reality. The gamers will revolt. So it's obviously enticing to make your game look as appealing as possible in your big
Honestly, even the Avengers trailer looked like butt. I never had any interest in that game.
reveal trailer. It's okay to use a few scenes not actually in the game. Maybe put some CGI there for the sake of cinema. Maybe put that in. It's not in the game, but we can make it happen in the game, right? This is how legends are born.
No, the Dead Island trailer is legendary. It's such a sad trailer, dude.
Island is one of my go-to picks
So
for
sad.
trailers, and it's one of the best ones of all time. This incredible, emotional, 3-minute-long cinematic masterpiece
Yeah.
showing a family being attacked and losing their lives to a zombie outbreak, all played in reverse. There's so much you can
horrifying.
analyze with this trailer. It put Dead Island on the map for so many players. This trailer was the first time I had even heard of the game. It really set the title up to be a gripping, emotional story of a zombie apocalypse and the emotional turmoil that ensues because of it. Here's the first thing you see putting the disc in.
Yeah, it was nothing like
I'm
that.
not saying Dead Island is a bad game at all, but the trailer and the game are two completely different beasts. The tone of the game is still fairly
Yeah, if the game was more so like the trailer, I definitely would have played it. The Avengers game trailer looked like something that was a fake trailer. It did. It really did. I don't know what they were thinking with that. It's
Serious,
horrible.
but not as serious or emotionally gripping as the trailer would lead you to believe. These characters have nothing to do with the game, other than showing remnants of the outbreak as it first occurred on the island. The developer Techland even went into the game after the trailer came out to try to adjust the tone as much as possible to be more in line with it. But these still feel like two different things. It just shows how powerful marketing can be, making you want something you had no prior interest in. But this was a case of false advertising just because we let somebody talented make our trailer. Oops. Sometimes false advertising is very much deliberate as it sets you up.
It's like, at least with Dead Island 2, right, Dead Island 2? Yeah. The trailer fits the game, which is great.
For a massive shock while playing the game.
Oh, is this? Oh, I thought that was the when he was announced for Smash Brothers.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is a prime example, as you think you'll just play as Snake the whole game. Nah,
Nope.
You're playing the rest of the game as his new character, Raiden. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Well, with the title literally involving the word remake, it sets you up to expect the story to basically follow the same steps as the original. Also, the entirety of the original. In reality, this was a fucking lie. The Last of Us Part 2.
So that I have a problem with that. Remake is everything's remade. It means you're making things different. Doesn't mean that's the same exact game. If it's the same exact game, then it's a remaster or something like that. It's a remake. It's a remake of the story. I hate when people get that confused. It's annoying.
On top of pulling the same Metal Gear Solid joke of, you thought you were playing as this character? Laugh. They also altered certain cutscenes for its trailers to make the character Joel look older in them, so that way, with viewers
Huh. That I never realized. Interesting.
knowing he's aged, they were led to believe he was in more of the game than he really was, when in reality, they altered flashback scenes, made him look older, and put them in the trailer. See, I don't really consider that false advertising, at least in the more negative sense. Rather, it's leading players in another direction, or just not showing things to avoid spoilers. So it's just being an ass. But then we have just the flat-out lies. Some of the most despicable, loathsome moments in the video game industry. The Simpsons game. This game had the audacity to say in its E3 2007 trailer it was releasing on every platform ever made.
Did they really? I don't even remember this, man. It was a good game, yeah. 100%.
This fall to every platform ever made.
No, it's not.
No, even the PSP? See, most people would assume that's a joke, but you forget to take into consideration most people. Some people genuinely thought this game was coming to all these platforms.
Why would people think that? Why? They don't even make... In 2007, they didn't make half of these anymore. Literally. Game Boy Advance. Did they even make GameCube still in 2000? Yeah, they did. It did come out on PSP? Well, PSP, that's like the 360, PS3, the Wii, DS, PSP. Those are like the actual current things right now. GameCube was kind of like on its last leg. N64 was gone. Dreamcast was gone. And these are all gone. The ColecoVision, Jaguar, Vic, I don't even know what that is. TurboGrafx, they were all gone. I would have loved to see old versions like that.
So
it would have been great.
Release the trailer. The voiceover was the same, but the platforms showcased were...
See?
True. Well, I said it was ridiculous for anybody to assume the original trailer wasn't a joke. I think some of the platform choices were incredibly misleading. The Game Boy Advance and GameCube were still being supported at this time, so...
Were they in 2000? Okay, in 2009, GameCube was discontinued. Okay. Fair. I thought it was earlier.
Out of all platforms to put there as a joke, those are really odd choices considering I don't think it was too far-fetched to expect a Game Boy Advance or GameCube version in 2007. Or the VIC-20. The box itself can be pretty deceitful sometimes.
Well, Game Boy Advance, though. Hold on. I don't know why I'm so dead set on proving this wrong. Advance. Wait. When did they stop supporting Game Boy Advance? Let's see. Production in Game Boy Advance, along with its revision, ceased production in December 2009 as well. Wow. I'm surprised these lasted so long. I never realized that.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Wii U says it supports the Wii Remote and Nunchuck and Classic Controller and lying. This was just a misprint, but there was speculation in the early days of Breath of the Wild's development that it would allow players to use motion controls like with Skyward Sword on the Wii. Now, supporting one
thankfully
remote
not.
by itself, I think only the bravest speculated that. Doom on Sega Saturn says on the box that it's the original Doom in all of its glory when it's missing content. But then we have the flat-out disappointments, where you watch a Fruit Gushers commercial as a kid, and in those, whenever somebody ate one, their entire head would turn into a giant fruit. So
Unfortunately, it doesn't actually happen.
You never ate one for years out of fear, and one day you decided life is hell anyways? Son of a bitch. Marvel
Gushers, though, delicious.
vs. Capcom Infinite. Oh, this collector's edition comes with stones.
I swear to God, if they're just eggs.
Not again. These have all been somewhat tolerable lies.
Is that what it actually looked like? Hold on. Wait.
If they're just eggs.
Is that what they actually looked like? I swear that's bad.
Not again. These have all been somewhat tolerable lies, though. I mean, if she's cheating on you, at least she's only doing it a little. Aliens Colonial Marines was such a
Yeah, this was a bad one. The Aliens Colonial Marines was horrible.
massive cluster of garbage. Like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, that's night and day. This was a really bad one. The one before Marvel vs. Capcom, you mean? Or like the thing I enjoyed Infinite for a little bit. I don't really stick to fighting games for too long though, except for like Smash Brothers. Oh, dude, the Alien vs. Predator games were sick. Those games are
Gameplay
great.
demos shown were severely different from the final
Like, the
product. Making the
trailers
game look
looked
so much more
good.
sophisticated with
Like, the demos looked really
lighting,
good.
AI animations, a severe attention to detail. But upon release, we only have a few options here. See, this was a massive downgrade. Some
Yeah,
areas of the game more so
really
than others.
badly.
But in the end, this was pure deceptive marketing. At E3 2012, the game was running on very specific work machines. This wasn't going to work on the consoles at the time, but
Which is
they made it still
horrible.
not work. While it's not unplayable, Colonial Marines was a huge disappointment.
really
and
bad.
This is how companies will pretty up a game for major gameplay demos to end up releasing something not nearly as groundbreaking.
Blows
It's
my
crazy how
mind.
far these studios will go to mask a title's true identity, which
Yeah, it was insane. They sent out fake review copies of it. Like, that's ridiculous. That is just like legal action required false advertising.
to be fair, I'm sure they wanted Aliens to end up looking like this. The intention definitely wasn't to win everybody over at E3 and then release shit. These gameplay demos are supposed to represent what they want the game to be. And if it actually
Yep.
turns out that way, well, let's pray God's a fan. I mean, this demo looks like a fine-tuned PS4 Xbox One
Yeah, the
game,
demo
not
looks
a
nice.
360 title. But even then, the graphical downgrade isn't merely due to the consoles. It affected the PC version as well, and
Oh.
overall, everything was just a
That dude's
lower
dead.
quality. It
Ugh.
tricked millions into buying the game, thinking it would be this, when in reality, it was nothing but a shell of that. Watch Dogs suffered a similar, though not a severe fate, where it too looked light years better via the gameplay demo
That's
than
true.
in its final state. This was definitely because it was revealed quite early in the project's life. They didn't have to take hardware limitations into account nearly as much at this time compared to when you're finalizing everything about the game.
Yeah,
and when it
so
got
they
to
can
that
just kind of like
point,
go all out.
I mean, the game still looks fine, but that E3 gameplay demo
Mm-hmm.
was beyond impressive.
Honestly, this is why I'm glad that, or should say it's rather why I prefer when game companies will just show a trailer early on instead of showing gameplay, because then the gameplay is just going to be, completely different and, wrong.
Watch Dogs at release was a somewhat buggy, generic, modern Ubisoft game, and not much more than that. No Man's Sky was a huge letdown for
I was so excited for No Man's Sky when that first came out. So excited, and I was heartbroken by it. Just so upset about it. But now, honestly, they did a really good job. I actually downloaded it. It's on Game Pass, so I downloaded it for PC. I want to see how it runs, and might just like play that one those days. It's a very, very chill game. I think Watch Dogs, that no one seems to realize that they had to lower the graphics. Yeah, exactly. Like when they, like he was saying, when they were showing off that gameplay demo, they didn't have any limitations to whatever hardware they were using, so they didn't really have to lower down the quality or anything to actually, optimize it. And that's why I think that it's better to show off just CG trailers and stuff before you actually know like how your game's gonna be and like what it's gonna be on, so you know like what specs to play it at, if that makes sense. This way you don't show off something 100 times better looking than it's gonna be.
for many, with the promise of basically having an infinite amount of worlds to travel to in space. Of course, the ones they decided to showcase
Dinosaurs.
at E3 were the only ones of note. The game was supposed to feature procedurally generated worlds, and when you would land on one, it was truly you discovering it. But in reality, the game launched as a boring experience where there was nothing to do, and the worlds weren't impressive. They didn't look as graphically decent as they did during the marketing push, and they
Yeah, it was really bad. For some devs that tried it internally, that the graphics looked like in the first trailer game run at 10 FPS. Yeah, like it was way too much for the time. If it was coming out, for first time on like PS4 or 3 or Xbox One or something, it would have been fine. but at the time they couldn't handle what it was being shown at.
They all just felt like variations of each other, nothing of note. Now, Watch Dogs wasn't the biggest downgrade. It was still a decent game, and No Man's Sky got a ton of updates, and at this point, it's pretty okay and does a better job living up to what was initially promised.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I'm really excited to get back into it eventually, because I just love flying through space and like making my own world and everything. It's really cool.
Aliens was one of the worst cases of this.
Aliens was bad.
Deliberately making a better-looking gameplay demo before releasing. Gameplay demos are supposed to be more trustworthy than trailers. That's the point of them. The trailers use CG cutscenes and cuts between them in gameplay all the time. The gameplay demo is supposed to show you what you're gonna get, because trailers can be incredibly misleading. The Killzone 2 trailer infamously was all CGI, even though it was animated in a way to make the viewers think it was all gameplay.
Yeah, when they do it like that, that's just messed up. Like, just don't. Just make a
This
CG
was right
trailer.
before the
like
PlayStation
normal.
3 was coming out, and that was a time when we thought anything was possible on these consoles. If anybody could resurrect Christ, it would be the PS3. So many assumed they weren't lying. This was gameplay. Now, Killzone 2 still looked quite good when it released, but the people who made this trailer, they're still going to hell. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2009 on Wii. The commercial used Xbox 360 footage
Sons of bitches. Of course they did.
of the game with a Wii remote pointer. How
Oh
did
my
they think that would
God.
fly? EA explained the Wii footage wouldn't
That's
look good on
so
TV,
bad.
so they used the HD footage from the 3.
If they say the Wii footage won't look good on TV, then why are you releasing the game? Come on, man.
60 version and put the Wii remote pointer in there.
God.
And bam, that's a sin. But one game decided to do something innovative. Be the biggest example of false advertising of all time. Yeah, I'm
Yep. I cannot remember a time before Cyberpunk where I actually returned a video game. But as soon as PlayStation was offering returns in the PlayStation Store, I immediately did it. Even though I loved the game, you know, it was fun. It was a nightmare mess, but it's a fun game. I do want to play it one day, but oh man, just oof. You might have been in a couple trailers for the First Division. Oh no way, dude! I love the First Division game. I enjoyed the second one too, but I never really stuck with it for too
not
long.
really saying
But
anything
Division
that
was really
hasn't already
fun.
been said here.
Smallpox. They fucking stink.
But when talking about false advertising in gaming, we can't avoid the piss stain on my Xbox collection.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 was developed by CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red, a developer highly regarded for their work on the Witcher series and their
Yeah.
commitment to consumer-friendly practices. I mean, The Witcher 3 was a huge hit, but even before
Still
that
never
release,
played.
they announced they'd be working on a game based on the Cyberpunk series of tabletop RPGs. This was
Which
in
is so cool.
1964. Announced in 2012, then getting its first trailer in 2013, and then its next trailer 5 years later. In reality, the game was nowhere near starting full-on development, and it took until The Witcher 3's final expansion released in 2016 for the team to actually start work. And when
blows
this
my
gameplay
mind.
demo was fully revealed in 2018, jaws were dropped. This was such a detailed world with
It looked great. It looked amazing. It looked so good. I was so excited for it.
people walking around who have legitimate lives to live. If
I
you
was
would
so
follow
excited
just
for it.
one
Like, look
around,
at
you would
that.
see them go about their day, go
Look at that. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful game. That's amazing to walk through.
to their job, go home, and
So good.
every single decision of yours would come back to bite you in the ass. And this is all without saying, the game looked stunning. Just absolutely beautiful models and settings. The animations were amazing. It looked like the most advanced video game of all time.
Yep.
And guess what?
And that's what you got. Oh, you got to launch too, Phantom? I'm sorry. Did you like keep it or did you return it? Because I'm glad I got digital because I was just able to return it and just be done with it. You kept it? Yeah, I opted not to. I was like, I'm gonna return it and buy it when it's actually fixed. But they still haven't like fully fixed it. They've made it better, but I don't know if it's ever gonna be fully fixed. I do want to play it though. Honestly, it was just when I was playing, I was upping my character's stats to just be able to go punch everything. So I like wasn't even using guns. I was just going around punching everything. Oh, you updated your driver and that fixed everything? I had it on console. Like I had it on PS4. So it was like really bad. I know on or not PS4. Wait, was it PS4? Yeah, PS4. I got the PS4 version. And like I was playing it on my PS5 because I think it came out after the PS5 came out, I believe. And I know like the PC version it was easier to play, but the console version was butt.
After being delayed numerous times, Cyberpunk launched in a state that, Well, the main issues stem from the console version. The PC version
Exactly.
looked, ran, and worked the best, but it still was a far cry from that initial gameplay review.
Yep.
Most of the issues boiled down to how glitchy and unpolished the game could be at times, but at its core, I'll stand by the fact it's a good game. The world is really
it's a
what
solid
sells
game.
it. It's so detailed and feels like a genuine lived-in place, and being in a dystopian future, it's truly a world worth exploring and looking at every little minute thing. But everything around it just doesn't feel all too special. The gameplay isn't anything groundbreaking. It's a first-person open-world RPG involving shooting and driving segments, and none of this is bad, but it just isn't anything I haven't seen
never got to
before.
the outside
Anything
world.
that they talked about in the gameplay demo, like how advanced the non-playable characters are,
Hmm.
you just see them walking in a circle, going up to them and hitting the talk button, and they say one of like 3 repeated phrases to you.
It's literally the same as any other NPC in a game. There's
Same
nothing
goes for the
special.
characters more integral to the story. They'll repeat some voice lines, which is fine. That's understandable. But this isn't the genre-defining game they made it out to be. It's a brilliantly designed world inside a game that feels like it's from 2013. Glitches were abundant, and we're just talking about the PC version here. On Xbox One and PlayStation 4, not only were glitches even more all over the place, but the game ran like piss.
It was so bad.
And that doesn't run well.
Oh, poor Xbox One in the toilet. Don't worry, Xbox One. You don't have to see this. Stay over there. I have my Xbox One here. I use it mainly for like, to watch stuff on my TV when I go to sleep. I like never use it for games because all my Xbox stuff's on PC. But it's still good. It's my little 4K player.
Well, choppy frame rates, low resolution, the game would freeze and crash constantly.
It was really
this
bad.
was the product of a giant marketing campaign pushed by investors and higher-ups who didn't understand how game development worked.
Yeah.
They wanted a 2020 release date, which by the time CD Projekt Red started development would have given them less time to finish than The Witcher 3. And this project was so much more advanced with elements they've never worked with before.
This needed to have been pushed until 2021, the end of 2021, maybe, if not like the summer of 2022. It needed a year and a half. I'd even say 2 years more development time.
It just felt like a lot of choices they made didn't add up. Like, why do we have all this customization for our character?
Yeah, it's all these rich people, CEOs and crap who don't understand how the actual work is done, and they just look at the numbers and they just want profits because they're greedy bastards who don't understand anything in life and just get paid a lot of money to be dumb. That's what I think of people like that, and it's horrible. They don't know how business works. It's insane.
The game is almost exclusively played in the first person, and you barely ever see your character. Why push all this money into marketing and showing a demo of a game that frankly didn't exist yet? Much like other examples given, this demo was basically what the developers were told to shoot for, not what the game was, and no matter how much the developers said they needed more time or this wasn't possible, the marketing pushed Cyberpunk that much more. Did they really have to announce, hey, the game is finished, when the developer said, bullshit it is? Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game.
And it sucks because we got the whole Keanu Reeves, you're breathtaking thing. His whole E3 presentation was one of the best things ever, and then we got the game came out.
May not be for everybody, but
it's
the fact,
heartbroken.
at its core, this isn't a well-crafted experience, I think is a bit much. But you can't blame people for thinking that after such a disastrous launch and being lied to constantly. This was a case of a developer who was known for their goodwill and how players adored them, and higher-ups taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how much these companies feel the need to lie when they know that it'll just come back to bite them in the ass.
They think they don't care about it, though. They don't care about the repercussions for it, because they're like, oh, we can just brush that off. They don't give a shit. 90% sure it's where, the majority of the budget went into just making that trailer.
They take first
Sadly.
impressions more seriously than launch impressions sometimes.
Oh, you mean
Like,
getting Keanu Reeves?
is it
Yes.
really worth all the
100%.
headaches? To go through lawsuits and refunds and to lose consumer trust, all to impress people at E3 with something damn well can't be accomplished? Well, for some people it is. That's why lying is so popular. It's a problem
Sadly.
now, deal with the repercussions later instead of telling the truth and causing some potential disappointment, but then you don't have to deal with bigger problems a year from now. It's
But
just
people are
sometimes
dumb.
marketing takes over projects, and a lot of marketers don't care. Their job is to get people interested, and even if it turns out to be over lies, well, that's more publicity for the project. I guarantee you, more people have talked about Cyberpunk and Aliens Colonial Marines and No Man's Sky because they were disasters compared to if they were as good as they were made out to be.
True. Look at even look at Elden Ring. That game was popular because it was good. Just make a good game.
And if regardless of
A good game that's fun to play and fun to watch too, because that's a big that's on believe it or not, well, not believe it or not, but like to believe it or not, I'd say, yeah, having it where it's watchable is and entertaining to watch is also very important nowadays.
a discussion is positive or negative, it's still getting the name out there, which means false advertising for games will never go away. Game studios
Sadly.
are constantly pressured into pushing boundaries, and I feel like they look at what they're currently capable of, no matter how advanced, and think it's not good enough. So they pretty things up for reveals and just assume they'll get it working later. But as we can see, that's not the greatest risk to take.
I think the lesson we
Looks
learned
so
here
bad.
is it's okay to be excited. It's also okay to be skeptical, but maybe wait to make a full decision until something's out in the world and actual people are playing the game rather than snake people. Because liars
Snake
are
people.
everywhere. They might even be staring you in the face.
Oh, that's why
And
he
this is
made
when
the
I lost
picture.
credibility.
Oh god. Alright, that was fun. Definitely go check it out. Subscribe, like, and all that fun stuff.